StockPulse Newsroom, we are talking Prismo Metals today. Prismo trades as PRIZ on the CSE in Canada, PMOMF on the OTCQB in the States. Their latest news here, they signed a definitive agreement for strategic investment and first right of refusal on that Palos Verdes Project in Mexico. To run through the details of that news, I've got the Director of Business Development, Allan Frame. Allan, appreciate you taking the time here. Certainly a good piece of news here for the company. Quite a relationship. Looks like you're building with Vizsla. Haven't seen you since the symposium, so yeah, let's run through the latest activity of the company. What's going on over there at Prismo Metals?
Well, lots of things, especially recently. I could digress for a moment and just give you a brief overview of why do I like Prismo? Like, what am I doing here? I joined them in May. I retired from the brokerage industry in Canada after 47 years as an agent that financed resource companies. So I actually did the IPO for Prismo when they first became public. And why did I do the IPO? Well, because you had some pretty awesome guys there. You got Dr. Peter McGaw, whose name speaks for itself, and Dr. Gibson, who's also very well known, and then Rafael Gallardo. Those three guys have over 100 years experience in Mexico. So that got my interest up. Secondly, what about the structure? Like, is there a billion shares out, or is there something manageable, or is there something you can build on? Well, when I joined them, there was less than 30 million shares outstanding, fully diluted. It's expanded since then for good reasons, which I'll be happy to get into. But a wonderful share structure. And, I'd like to say I had something to do with that by virtue of doing the IPO. And so, to be offered to join with this group that I really had a lot of time and respect for was a real honor. So I took them up on it at the end of May in 2022. So the third criteria for me is, well, where are their properties? And are they properties of merit, or will they ever see the light of day? Well, Palos Verdes, which was Craig Gibson's vend-in to earn his original shares in the company, and which he staked and started drilling before Vizsla got involved in the area. And most people know Vizsla. They've had incredible success, over 100 million ounces proven and still going rapidly. Lots of rigs running there. Well, our property looks like a postage stamp on an envelope compared to theirs, but I would say we got there first. So why would I like that property? Well, it's got the same geology as Vizsla, and Vizsla has drilled much more than us, but we've had some really good grades, over 2,000 grams of silver on our earlier projects on Palos Verdes, and that's right up there in the big leagues. So, I'm super happy with that. We just recently did a drill program on Palos Verdes, 8 holes, 5 of which have been received back from the lab and recently announced, all decent grades, which is really good. And what did all of that work result in? Well, it resulted in conversations with Vizsla themselves. So along came Vizsla knocking and talking, and they recognized the fact that geology is all similar. So we have a tentative private placement with Vizsla, where they will become our strategic investor. They will be buying around 19% of the company. It's a $2 million financing at 50 cents. It's kind of intricate the way that it works. The cash component up front is $500,000. I'm expecting it to close this coming week. So that's some nice money in the treasury. And we also receive $1.5 million of their shares. There's a ROFA on their shares and our shares, meaning that if we ever decide to sell in the future, they'd have first right of refusal and vice versa. So that's all pretty good. And it basically is a good housekeeping seal of approval for Craig Gibson's thoughts and ideas about Palos Verdes. And secondly, we get into the Los Pavitos property, which is, in comparison to Palos Verdes, extremely big. Like, it's a district play versus Palos Verdes is a specific area play. So in the district play, that's where you can expand your horizons and, really find some good, exciting, large-scale operations, multi-million ounce operations. That particular play, unlike Palos Verdes, is mainly gold. And the earlier samples that we've taken there that got everybody cranked up and, made Peter decide to acquire those properties was around 40 grams of gold. So there's nothing to sneeze at there. It's south of an area that's really well known and being exploited with lots of production. So that's, for me, there's the big three. you got the management, you got the structure, and also while we're talking about structure, just very recently this week we closed a $3 million financing at 52 cents with a full warrant on it, 3-year warrant with some institutions. So here we are, little company, fantastic people, excellent properties with huge potential, and we presently financially are loaded for bear. Burn rate is really small here. There's no salaries. These guys, they just like to explore. So they don't, they're not in there to make 100 or 200 grand a year. They're in there to go find something significant. So I love it. So with a burn rate that mainly is just composed of actual drilling costs, this thing kind of ticks all the boxes for me. And another thing, just a view and a projection for me. Vizsla's got a market cap of about 300 million. They got about 100 million ounces. I might point out that their original discovery had a strike length of about 400 meters, and it turned out real good. Kind of got them cranked up and increased their market cap pretty dramatically and got them going. So I would point out that on our Palos Verdes, our strike length here is 700 meters, and we've explored only about 30% of it. So you kind of think of the numbers, 300 million market cap right now, fully diluted, assuming all of our finances come together. That means we'll have about 48 million shares that are fully diluted, including unexercised warrants. So 50 times 50, 25 million market cap versus 300 million market cap. If we found a fraction on our Palos Verdes properties of what Vizsla has, you could easily extrapolate that into, 50 million or something like that market cap, or maybe even extravagantly saying 100 million market cap divided by the shares outstanding. That's a couple bucks a share, and we've got a company trading at 50 cents that's about to really get out there and stir it up in the exploration stage.
Yeah, so that's the $1 million question there, Allan. Let's draw the comparison here. Obviously, the game plan's in play here to do that. How long will it take to kind of prove this out? And yeah, if you truly are onto a mini Vizsla situation here, wow, what an opportunity here for investors, just seeing this unfold right in their face and getting told by an insider who literally knows how to pick these things. So yeah, I think if you were at the horse track, I think I'd probably follow you around.
well, thank you for that. I have been around for a long time, and I really do like this one a lot. But in a more direct answer to your question, with Palos Verdes, that is not a large property, but you can find a lot of good things in small packages, as we all know. So I would guess that now that we are financially able to, we can probably drill off Palos Verdes in 2023. And to me, that's pretty remarkable. Most of these programs are, well, next year is going to be better, and then you're like 10 years older and you're still working on the next year theory. But Palos Verdes is going to be what it's going to be in 2023. And I like that. So I don't know what it's going to turn out like. That's up to Mother Nature, but we're going to take a good hard look. If the exploration is successful and if we can match our previous successes, that'll be a very, very valuable asset in relatively short order. The other one, Las Pavitos, that's going to be the longer term play because it's so much larger. That project will be years, but we do expect in 2023 to understand it better geologically by virtue of actually drilling it. We've been ground truthing it, taking samples, prospecting. We did a LiDAR survey, which was awesome because, there's lots of growth there. You can't see much when you're walking the ground, but if you shoot the LiDAR, you look through all the bush and the vegetation, and you can see old workings in there. And most of Mexico, all of those mines are near old mines from before. Maybe they're 500 years old, but at least that tool allows us to see them. So we're pretty cranked about that. So we'll definitely advance that project dramatically. And with a little bit of luck and some good grades there, that could overshadow the Palos Verdes very quickly. But there's no way that you can complete that program in 1 year. The project is just simply too vast.
Let's reel us in here. You've got potentially something quick happening here in a year, and then you got something longer term here on a short elevator ride down. Put a message together for investors looking for opportunities in a pretty beat up sector, but here you've got a pretty fair chart here, in my opinion. So yeah, consolidate a message for future investors.
Yeah, I like it too because assuming the remaining private placement follows through on this coming week, which I'm quite certain it will. So you're basically, you've got $5 million, in one form or another. You got a company with under 50 million shares out, which is really quite good. But I think because of the prices on these last two private placements, and I also think because of who bought them, this thing's probably based at 50 cents now, or thereabouts. So if we're successful in the field, we should be able to build on that quite nicely, and that's the goal.
Okay, good place to leave it. Appreciate you taking the time. We'll look forward to checking back in when you hit the wire again. That's Allan Frame. He is the Director of Business Development, Prismo Metals. They trade as PRIZ on the CSE in Canada, PMOMF on the OTCQB in the States. So, Allan, appreciate again the update, and we'll look forward to checking back in when you hit the wire again.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it myself, on behalf of Prismo, the opportunity to speak with you about it. We're really proud of our company, and thanks for recognizing it.